Okay.
Further.
All right, here we go. All right, we're going to start off with pop quiz. What do these movies got in common? Angels in the Outfield, Barbed Wire, Excursion to the Moon, Major Pain, Psycho, Scarface, and True Lies.
Boring.
Major Pain was good.
True Lies was okay.
I can get them all on YouTube.
You think
free.
Scarface was boring? Scarface is iconic.
Iconic does not make good.
Well, it's got so much fun material to flash back to. Oh, I mean,
Yeah, man.
You know,
Yeah, man.
All right, they're all remakes.
okay, yeah.
So, Angels in the Outfield, remakes of Angels in the Outfield. Excursion to the Moon is a remake of A Trip to the Moon. Major Pain, remake of Private War, Major Benson from '55. Psycho is a remake of Psycho. Scarface, remake of Scarface. True Lies is a remake of a French film, La Totale. I butchered
Yeah.
that.
That Jerry Lewis film, yeah.
And this is most surprising, which I think this is really stretching it, but Barbed Wire is a remake, loosely, of Casablanca. And by loosely, I mean
You talking about Barbed Wire, the comic, the Pamela Anderson one?
Yeah.
No, that's from a comic.
That's what the internet said, and the internet does not lie.
The internet lies constantly.
Anyway, all right.
Come on now, don't you listen to our president? It's all fake news, my friend.
All right, let me do my introduction here. Okay. So, all right, welcome to the second episode of Untitled, where we take ideas, conventions, and genres of filmmaking and discuss how to do it better. Has Hollywood tapped the well of originality? Has it become a complete business machine? Has the realm of creative artistic expression been left to the independents and YouTubers? Has Hollywood firmly planted its roots in safe money marketing films? And basically, we're here to discuss what does it take to write a reboot, remake, and reimagining. So here today I have...
Daniel Newkirk?
Andrew Recker.
Mike Stanbridge.
Okay, so let's start off by defining what a remake is, what a reboot is, and what a reimagining is. So what do you guys think?
I'm still stuck on that barbed wire thing, man. I just don't think.
My first question is, you were talking about originality. So why does it have to be a anything?
That's what I'm saying, because Hollywood, because we were talking about comic movies last week.
Right.
It seems like anymore we're getting remakes.
Do you mean like why can't they come up with an original script?
Well, it seems like
An
everything's
original idea.
everything's a remake of something, a reboot. The reboot. They're always talking about rebooting stuff. It's either a reboot, a soft reboot, a hard reboot, or it's a gritty reimagining.
Before we get down the rabbit hole of minutia, there's definitely a business angle.
That's what I'm saying. Has Hollywood become nothing but pure business? It
Right.
always was business.
Well, what I mean is, no matter what you're talking about, in order for it to get made, it's going to have to, tickle someone's idea of making money. So, like, you can come up with the most perfect, awesomest, bestest movie that you've ever come up with, and it's right on all the key areas that you think ought to go into a good movie, and it'll never get made because it doesn't.
Well, there's a few directors I feel can do that. Like Christopher Nolan can pretty much do whatever it is he wants. David Fincher probably can.
I don't know. As a moviegoer personally, I don't really look at the director. It doesn't appeal to me. When I go to see a movie that's going to entertain me, I'm checking the trailers. Most of the time, I don't pay too much attention to who the director, the producer, who the writing staff is. So to me, it's, does this grab me? And I think that's why we see such a epidemic of remakes and reboots, is because you have a beloved franchise, say Terminator. People loved the Terminator movie when it first came out. So let's make a bunch of sequels, let's make a whole bunch of new stuff, and then we're going to reboot it, and we're going to put the same name on it because people loved this movie. They're going to see the name, and they're going to go, hey, I want to see Terminator again. Where if you, let's make the entire movie again, but this time let's call it The Executioner, people aren't going to see that, have that name recognition. Name recognition, that's what I'm looking for there. It doesn't grab you, and it doesn't kind of pick up those, hey, I know what this is about, I know this is a good movie.
I always look at the director, but
we finally agree on that.
Yeah, well, absolutely, absolutely. You have to, because some people, and there are a lot of stylistic directors out there too, so you know what to expect. Like, I don't know if you guys saw King Arthur when it was out. I mean, and it filmed, which was a really interesting take. I loved it, but it was filmed exactly like all of his other movies, So you had the whole like, all right, first we're going to break in, and then they'll do the flashback scene, and it goes through you didn't have. Yeah, you didn't even have to put Guy Ritchie's name on it. You go see this movie, and it's a Guy Ritchie movie because it's filmed exactly the same. I mean, he does a certain type of movie, and he does it really, really well, and it translated just as well, I thought, with King Arthur as it did when he does this gangster robbery comedies Snatch and all that other fun stuff. Great stuff. But there's certain directors I like. I absolutely always, I got to know what directors, because there's stuff like. What's the complete twisted twerp that did Batman and Robin? Joel Schumacher. And if you go to see it's going to be all explosions and actors and no script and no substance.
And I'm going to get back on
last week? Destruction Porn?
Destruction Porn. That's Michael Bay. But Joel Schumacher, I'm not even going to bring it up because I'll get hate.
Go ahead. I love bashing Joel Schumacher.
No, I'm just saying, like, most of his movies have, like, and maybe it's because of his personal life, and I'm not saying negative, but it has, like, an undertone of, like...
Oh, yeah. Okay, I get where you're going with that. We don't need to talk that out on a public podcast, yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, no, I get it. There's a lot of glitter.
So let's, before we get too far, let's define, and I got what the internet defined it as, but because they never wrong. Let's define what a remake is, a definition of a remake, a definition of a reboot, and a definition of a reimagining. So reimagining is easy. You just take a new conception of an old idea. But remakes and reboots, how would you guys define it? And how would you define a soft reboot versus just a flat out reboot?
A soft reboot is everything that's happened has happened.
So you got like Terminator Genesis was a soft.
Yeah, if you can fit all the other movies, or in the case of comic books, if you can fit it into the continuity, or you have a point, a retcon punch, so that all the other films fit into the continuity of that movie, then that's.
Yeah, I would agree with that for a soft reboot.
Absolutely.
Terminator Genesis is a great example of a soft reboot. I think you can also kind of take that soft reboots are commonly non-connected sequels. So like Pitch Black and Chronicles of Riddick, for example, they're in the same universe, but they're kind of a reboot of the universe, even though they're still interconnected.
Yeah, okay. So, well, according to the internet, a reboot is a discard of all continuity in an established series in order to recreate its characters, timeline, and backstory from the beginning. That was a weird way to... Let me start again. Recreate its characters, timeline, and backstory from the beginning.
Okay.
I can read, by the way. Okay, so let's define remakes.
A remake is
well, for me, I think remake and hard reboot are synonymous terms. The difference is a remake is a standalone movie. A hard reboot is a franchise.
Right.
If you look at it, and I'm a big fan of the current Lethal Weapon TV series. That's okay. But that's a remake. It's starting from the very beginning and telling the same story, telling it in a different way.
Is this still on?
It's great. You've got to check it out.
Is the MacGyver still going?
MacGyver's still going, unfortunately.
Okay.
MacGyver without Richard Dean Anderson is crap. It just really is. I mean, that was a personality-based show, and when I looked at Lethal Weapon, I thought there are a lot of big personalities in there. That was really a Mel Gibson vehicle, but boy, they've just done it so well. The TV series is great. I did check out Rush Hour, and that was as god awful as you thought it was going to be, because they were still, they're dealing with topics, and of course they didn't have the quality of actors. I mean, those guys played really well off of each other. It just couldn't be done.
Did they have the quality? Did they have the Jackie Chan style stunts?
They had the stunts, but they didn't have the substance. Jackie Chan's got a great sense of humor and great timing, and the kid was likable, but he just didn't have it. And the other guy that played, nobody's going to top Chris Tucker. You just can't do it, dude. I mean, you just got to give it up and move on with stuff like that. I mean, it's a completely they tried to go with the same route, the fish out of water route. Well, that doesn't really happen anymore. Everybody's really familiar with Chinese culture at this point. I would hope.
Well, okay, so that brings it up to, has Hollywood become a complete business machine?
I don't think there was ever any doubt that it was.
It was always about business. I agree 100%. It was always about business because it's their money. So I mean, just because you have an amazing idea and you want to tell the story, unless you put up your own money, but But what do we have on TV now? Rush Hour, MacGyver, Hawaii Five-0.
Sure.
What was that first one? You said Lethal Weapon.
Lethal Weapon.
Gotham, which isn't a remake, but it's of a series.
It's not. It's Hollywood's just become lazy. Everybody, you know, we can go off on politics, but everybody's lazy now. It's they don't want to take chances on something that doesn't have a built-in audience, and that's why they do it. They're still a fan base for all this stuff, and they have to do. They don't have to say. They don't have to introduce the concept. So when they do the advertising and marketing campaigns, they go, "Guess what's back?" You know.
Well, and like a lot of businesses, they want a guaranteed return on investment.
Sure,
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
if you're a, you know, just for lack of a better term, a Hollywood venture capitalist that's being asked to put up money, the first question you're going to say, well, what's the risk? And the risk is, well, we're in a bad economy, so let's take a risk on an independent film that has all these weird points that we don't know if it's actually going to put people in seats.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you know what? I don't think I'm going to fund that.
But there's got to be a guy with the balls to be like, wait, there's stuff in space, and there's these like monks that have these swords made of light. And there's a dude that wears a helmet that sounds like he's having a respirator. Yeah, all right, I'll put the money up for that. I mean, there's got to have people that's got.
But it wasn't pitched to him like that. Whoever that
was one of the biggest con jobs of all time. What Lucas did with that. I mean, that was a huge con game. He shouldn't have got funding, and in fact, it was Alec Guinness's money at the end that got it. They got the film finished. I mean, George Lucas didn't just get approval and go make that movie with 20th Century Fox's money. I mean, he was pulling a con game left and right to get that finished.
I mean, the original script of New Hope is very different
Right,
than what actually made
and
it to the
he
screen.
originally tried to make Flash Gordon.
Right.
You know,
right.
but the original script is, I mean, dude, the Ballad of Luke Starkiller, and I mean, it's.
You know who else did that? We're going to bring in 2001: A Space Odyssey.
You know what? I don't want to talk about 2001.
No, but I'm
this is
bring
my
it up
podcast. It's not allowed to be
here.
talked about.
That happened with Kubrick, though. There was a bunch of sponsors, corporate sponsors,
Yeah.
and he changed everything at the last minute.
Well, he also brought in who's the famous sci-fi writer?
Arthur C. Clarke. They
Arthur
co-wrote
C.
it.
Clarke. Yeah, right.
No, but what I mean is they had a lot of corporate sponsors for the movie. It was going to be a huge, huge thing, and that's how they got the money to make the movie. And then he basically made two films, one for them, from what I've understood from bonus features that I've watched, one for the executives to watch. They're like, oh, look, there's our product placement. And then one for what we actually got.
Was he filming that when he was faking the moon landing?
Yes.
Okay.
The internet told me.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I feel like this kind of disingenuous kind of perspective from the creative people in Hollywood is a giant problem. I mean, we've talked about Star Wars having this 2001: Space Odyssey, but this isn't an isolated thing. Robert Kirkman, who is the person who made Walking Dead, when he went to Image Comics and pitched Walking Dead to them, Image said, "No, this is boring. This will never get sold. We're not interested." And Robert Kirkman said, "Well, wait, it's aliens. There's an alien virus. They're softening the people." And the people at Image said, "Okay, that's interesting. Let's do it." And Robert Kirkman's gone on record saying it was all just a blatant lie to fund this thing, and he completely wrote out all of the alien stuff after he pitched it to Image. And now we have this massive franchise with TV shows, comic books. It is one of the most widely popular comic book TV shows in most recently.
Petering off fast, though. I mean, people are losing interest in
well, sure, maybe it's going down because I mean,
you
have no ending to
Don't
it.
these creative creators of shows like that, don't they run the risk of getting sued or fired or whatever from their own?
Well,
I mean,
speaking of Walking Dead, what's his face?
It's just like committing to a job and saying that I can do this job even though you have no clue. I mean,
yeah, but if you tell them one thing and then you pull bait and switch,
they can always
the big
always
difference.
sue, but
The big difference with that is comic books media is done differently than TV show or movie media, especially when it comes to Image. With Image, the creators tend to keep creative control.
Is that the way it still is, though? I mean, I know it was set up that way because Frank Miller, he wrote in that he was writing a letter to. It was like at the beginning of it may have been one of the Spawn collected editions, but he was talking about Image Comics about how it's such a great idea that it's creator owned, and he was hoping it would stay that way. So it did it.
Yeah, as far as I'm understanding, that's why when you look at Image, they have just this massive catalog. But yeah, everything's still creative owned, and they just put up the money for publishing.
A lot of stories have been so annihilated by the Hollywood machine. I mean, that most writers now are keeping creative control when they sell their the rights to their books. For instance, J.K. Rowling is the biggest one. I mean, she has total control over the movies. I mean, they can't. All casting decisions have to come by her. And she made sure that like when she did the original Harry Potter series, it had to be all British. She would not allow. I mean, Hollywood would constantly say, "Well, we can get this actor. We can get Brad Pitt or whoever." And she's like, "No, absolutely not. End of story." I don't know if you guys ever heard of an author called Lawrence Block.
Yes.
Okay, he writes the Burglar series. Okay, when the character's name is Bernie Rodenbach.
Mystery writer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I told you this story a while back, but when he sold the rights to his first book to Hollywood, and his detective is a burglar who owns a bookstore and is constantly getting wrapped up in these murders that he has to then solve. His best friend Carolyn is a dog washer who has a shop across the street, and she's a lesbian. Okay. Hollywood, he sold the rights to this first novel to Hollywood. Hollywood decided to cast Whoopi Goldberg as the burglar,
yeah,
and Bobcat Goldthwait as the dog washer lesbian friend of his across the street. The movie was a complete abortion. It was terrible, and so Lawrence Block now has in perpetuity written in his will, Hollywood will never get the rights to one of my books again. And the thing is, if you read these books, they are, you want to watch this. It's absolutely make a perfect TV series, perfect movie series. They're just and they're funny. They're
He's
great.
a good writer.
Yeah, but they took his books and they turned it into just a complete mash of a script, and they're absolutely terrible.
The guy adapting that, Jeff Loeb, or he was a comic book writer. Is it Jeff Loeb or because he was on, not to talk about another podcast, but he was on Fat Man on Batman.
Okay.
About that, I think, and he was just. Everything was going really good, and then the studio, the way you said, got Whoopi Goldberg, and this is dumb.
Yeah.
Because he wrote Command. It was during Commando and all that time, right?
And the same thing is with the same thing happens with Terry Pratchett. Before Terry died, he said no more. He's not going to let Hollywood get involved in the Discworld books because they well, at first he was aware of what would happen if they got a hold of it, but they were going to adapt We Free Men right before he died. But he had script approval. They sent him the script, and he just nixed it immediately because they try to change too much. A lot of it too is adapting the scripts to fit certain actors that they have in mind. Like we can get back into the Suicide Squad argument. Will Smith had no business being in that movie. They wrote around him when they cast him. That character could have been played by anybody off the street, and the movie would have been just the same. But they had to have the close-ups because Will Smith is a huge star, and you have to rewrite around that stuff. And the agents get involved, and well, this line's funnier. I think my client should have that because your client isn't as quite as popular or as key to the plot as my client, and that comes into play.
I don't know how much the agents had involved with Suicide Squad, but I feel like that movie really needed some sort of big name to put butts in seats.
Less Joker.
We needed less Joker. I'll agree with that. But I feel like
I think Harley Quinn Mania started before Suicide Squad, and they would have had butts on seats, man.
Yes, but Will Smith is the draw for the other people, not the Harley Quinn fans, and you get a star factor. The actress they had for Harley Quinn was absolutely fantastic,
sure,
but she doesn't have the name that Will Smith does.
Right.
So you put Will Smith in Deadshot's role, and you get people coming in. Now, I think Will Smith could have done a really good Deadshot. The writing for Deadshot completely changed his character.
If he wasn't Will Smith it up.
I don't know how much control Will Smith had,
but
Will Smith's agent has complete control when it comes to movies that he's making. He will go in there and just tell, my client wants this, my client wants that. Have you seen his trailer?
No, I haven't. I mean, if I'm making a movie,
his trailer has a gymnasium in it.
Well, yeah. I mean, if I'm making if I'm getting $14 billion to make a movie, I want the Pimpus trailer too. But I don't know. I don't know how much chance I'm going to get to modify the script though. And I feel like they're more restricted to this group than that. I mean, I know improvisations happen. I know there's probably arguments on the business side of Hollywood. But to me, really, the writers who brought the sympathetic Deadshot into our world really didn't know what they were doing with that character.
Yeah.
But I don't care.
And once again, back to our Civil War discussion, it's because you can't have a pure evil character because it would affect the image of this star. Like with Robert Downey Jr., it's like, oh, he can't just be a pro registration with no reason. It has to be because his parents got killed or you can't go after Bucky because, all that crap. I mean, it's because people are identified by their characters in movies, and if you played a pure evil character, then people are going to identify with that character, and they're going to this Will Smith played this prick, so he must be a prick too, and it's going to ruin the image of that actor. I've
seen Will Smith as literally play the devil, and that didn't besmirch his image.
Oh. What movie was it?
It was. You're gonna put me on the spot here. It's the movie where takes place in the 20s or the 30s, and
Legend of Bagger Vance.
No. And this guy is working for the mob, and it's like an Irish mob, and they are enthralled to the devil. And it turns out this mob are all demons, and at some point he gets lost in time and comes to modern day at the very end of the film. And it's like a half romantic movie.
Okay, was this what year was this made?
Recently, I remember seeing it.
Was it before or after Ali?
After, I believe.
Really? Okay. All right.
I'm googling it. Anyway,
yeah. Someone Google me, and the comment section screaming. I'm sure.
I mean, obviously, there are at least 3 people that have never heard of this movie before.
Please email in with the answer.
Yes. Something about the night. It was a romantic comedy at its heart because his girlfriend in Pastime was dying from consumption, and he ends up meeting like the granddaughter.
And he was just flat out evil, or was he lovable Lucifer like we have on TV right now?
He was the
lovable crime. So he is in the TV series.
Is that the one with Colin Farrell in it?
I think so. Yes.
Ah, yeah. That's,
he is literally the devil.
He was trying to out evil Colin Farrell, who's
yeah, I know exactly what movie he's talking about.
There's so many people on IMDb right now. Yeah, and
Colin Farrell. It was like a legendary book, right?
Somebody right now at home is saying the name of this movie.
Yeah,
Winter's Tale.
Winter's Tale. Thank you. Yes, that's exactly it. Winter's Tale.
Thank you, Google.
Yeah. Played literally the devil and did not besmirch his character. Okay. And I think you can do that when you are an actor like Will Smith. Now, if every casting is him as the devil, and if he's that kind of person on those show pitches,
what did the devil do in this movie? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with this flick. Did he kill anybody physically?
Yeah, he tried.
He tried, but did he actually succeed?
I don't.
Now, Deadshot, we're talking about somebody who's like shoot somebody. It just blows people away, and no remorse. I mean, there have to be physical acts too. I mean, I don't see the devil as. I mean, and now this is going to get me in trouble, but I don't see the devil as really evil anymore because, like I said, we have a Lucifer TV series where he's the lovable crime solver.
Well, I mean, we got demon faces. He's got the rage. He had a whole demon transformation, and he was the mastermind behind the whole thing.
Okay.
Because the devil doesn't get his.
Now I'm going to watch this one now.
You should. It was a good movie.
Yeah.
It was legitimately a romantic movie that I enjoyed watching. It's on my list of things to go on dates with.
Okay. All right, hang on. Okay, so
completely off topic.
No, so before we move on, so we defined reimagining easy, which is a quick example of reimagining. Would you guys agree would be like the gritty reboots of which everything has got to be gritty for some reason. A gritty reboot of Snow White. That would be a definite example.
That's a reimagining, absolutely.
Okay.
So is Once Upon a Time the TV series. I mean, it's
So the internet defines remake as a movie which uses an earlier movie as the main source material, rather than in reference to a second, later movie based on the same source. Do we all agree on that?
It sounds right.
Okay. So you got anyway. We're going back to once again Hollywood being a business machine. We have companies, film studios such as Platinum Dunes and the Asylum, who. Andy, I don't know if you know Asylum. Whenever popular movie comes out, they make a movie. Like Transformers came out, they made a movie called Transmorphers. Battleship came out, they made a movie called American Battleship.
Yeah.
And they got 0 to. I think all 4 of us together have more money in our pockets than the budget Asylum has. because they are horrible movies, and a lot of kids are disappointed when their grandmas go out and buy Transmorphers rather than Transformers. So there's and like Platinum Dunes started out. I think they make original movies now, but they originally started out just making remakes of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. So clearly,
that wasn't originally started by like a couple of foreign businessmen,
it's Brad Fuller and they're Michael Bay. They worship at the heel of Michael Bay.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean the company itself. The company wasn't owned by two investors, and they were just trying to.
No. Are you talking about the foreign? That was Canon. Right?
That was at Canon? Okay,
Canon
I'm getting that mixed. Yeah, sorry.
Which is an excellent documentary on them on Netflix.
Right.
What was it called? It's Electric Boogaloo or something.
Yeah, Electric Boogaloo.
Okay, so the idea of our podcast, what does it take to write or come up with a story for a remake or a reboot or a reimagining? Are there certain tentpole aspects you must hit? Are there certain things you must do? So like, let's just start off so we don't confuse ourselves. Let's just start off with a remake. Okay, a huge He-Man fan. Love He-Man. They did the reboot in 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
Okay, 2002, somewhere in there. And then I always wanted to make a He-Man movie. If I was going to make a He-Man movie now, since everything's got to be gritty, I was talking about last week about the New 52 run, which I like and dislike because basically He-Man's moral compass. I know you guys don't, but I like the hero whose just moral compass is just straight on north. Just like I like just always does the right thing.
There's a place for that kind of hero.
But isn't it interesting that like you put a hero like that into a situation where the correct thing to do is actually detrimental to him, whereas Batman would just do something gray, but you guys don't find that interesting?
Well, its time is basically past because those heroes reflect what we want out of society. Everybody's jaded now. I mean, we as a society, after all the terrorism and everything else that's gone on in the last 2 decades, I mean, we don't believe that there is a person like that out anymore. I think everybody's over it. We know the religious leaders are all corrupt. We know our politicians are corrupt, and we know that at any moment somebody can walk up to us with a bomb and try to, as we're walking out of a building. We don't believe that there is a genuinely good person out there anymore, so there aren't any genuinely good heroes.
I have an answer to that. Okay, so
there's also a danger in working with absolutes. So like if you say somebody is absolutely,
who else
always does the right thing, then that's just setting yourself philosophically. You're setting yourself up for failure because you can't have absolutes.
I thought about absolutes. Batfleck and Batman v Superman.
Oh yeah,
brought it back. Anyway,
we knew it was going to come up.
Anyway,
have you got your membership card for the fan club yet? I know you're president.
Yeah, I got laminated.
And treasurer.
Dying to get the podcast up and running so Zack Snyder can start sending him slush money.
Anyway, okay, so you brought that up. So
Slush money.
no, he brought up the whole idea of people being jaded. So my idea for a remake reboot of He-Man so He-Man in the '84 Filmation universe was just he would punch a rock or throw a mountain to divert a water or just give Skeletor a wedgie over actually fighting him. Okay, then that series didn't have a definite ending. Then in 1991 he went to it was in space. He went to another planet called Primus. They took him. He went to his parents, said, "Hey, I'm He-Man. I got to go to this another planet and fight." Okay, that show actually had a definite ending where he booted Skeletor and I think Katara in a spaceship, and they just went off. Okay, so anyway, my idea for a remake of that show would don't laugh.
you just between the Snyder worship and He-Man being, I mean,
but okay, so
you're an oddball.
So
it's
anyway,
okay.
I'm trying to say, like, I feel like I hit all the tentpoles
Sure.
for this. So my story would start off where that story left off. So it got canceled. The New Adventures of He-Man got canceled after 1 or 2 seasons, and the next season was going to be where he comes back to Eternia, and I believe Duncan, Man-at-Arms, was going to be infested by the Snake Men, and he was going to be a bad guy. So my idea of the story is He-Man's coming. So you start off, He-Man's coming back. Okay, the audience follows 3 characters: Champ Clamp, Ryo Blast, and my favorite character in Pastime, Fisto.
Okay.
They're in jail. because
I think there's a Fisto in every jail.
So anyway, those three are in jail, are in turning in jail because Duncan was possessed by the Snake Man and was trying to take over Eternia. The way He-Man fought battles was no longer valid. They killed him, so they're in jail. He-Man comes back and was like, "Why are you guys in jail?" And they tell him, "They're like, well, you can't fight that way because he's still got his moral compass pointed north." So Skeletor's out of the picture, the Horde's out of the picture, the Snake Men are out of the picture. You bring in a whole new bad guy, brand new for the new people, whole new bad guy, and these guys fight like they kill. They go to kill. They're not Skeletor. They're not the Horde. They kill. Okay, He-Man tries fighting them the same way he did back in '84, and it just not working. He's losing lives because he's fighting the way he's fighting. So he brings the three people out and says, "You need to teach me how to do this," and then that's how this movie continues. So you get my love for the moral compass, the good guy. You get the grittiness that everyone loves nowadays, and you bring in a new character for the new audience, which is the bad guys. The Klingons come in, whatever. You know what I mean? I think that's a good.
The bald Klingons that are coming back.
I think that hits the temples of how to take an old property and bring it to.
Yeah. So the question there is, so I've been kind of quiet on this one.
Oh my God! Here we go.
All right. So I am not opposed to the He-Man movie that we're making right now. My question is, if we have a character that's moral compass is always pointing north, how close is he to becoming a Mary Sue? At what point is he not a perfect person?
Right. Okay,
because
so,
that makes for a bad movie.
Right, but that's the point. Like he tries being a Mary Sue, but it's not working. The new bad guys we introduce.
You know what a Mary Sue is, right?
Right. Yeah. Ray.
Huh?
Ray
No.
from-
Okay.
Ray-
We got to explain Mary Sue.
No. Mary Sue is a person who.
Perfect, no flaws.
Right, but
Right.
it also exemplifies the author of the project. So when a Mary Sue character is how this is you putting yourself into the movie. So if you wrote
okay,
a Mary
so,
Sue is
right.
so like if you introduce a character like that always saves the Enterprise, that I'm Ensign Adam, I'm here to say I got you,
Right.
Captain Kirk, and pulls him out of the way. That's a Mary Sue.
Well, anyone
Okay.
who knows me knows I would not write a Mary Sue because I
Okay.
have no self-esteem. But okay.
All right, that's a Mary Sue character.
Right. Okay. So if I'm writing it, then no, He-Man wouldn't be a Mary Sue. But so it'd be more of
He'd have a little companion named Adam Jr.
Right. So I
Mini
guess,
Adam, help me!
So I guess technically it would be me because I was trying to do something and failing so fucking bad that I'd have to get these guys out. So that's the point. So you get him trying to do what's right, and then you get all these jaded people that the way they like stuff now, and have Champ Clamp and Ryo Blast and Fisto be like, you gotta like break these dudes' necks, like, and then that's where you get your grittiness from. And then He-Man's like, oh, okay, all right. That's what I thought. I think
That's a philosophical question too, though.
I'm more interested in what's happening in the prison in the He-Man universe. I mean, I want the He-Man Shawshank Redemption mashup. Let's do that movie.
You get the Champ Clamp after you get the Fisto.
Yeah, I wouldn't even get. He-Man wouldn't even come in until the end of the movie.
Yes,
I would focus on the other characters and and how they deal with prison and escaping from prison.
Right.
Set up the whole thing, and then He-Man would come in at the end.
Well, from like my love for like Gotham Central, where He-Man would be, even if he comes in more towards the middle of the beginning, he'd still be like a preferee character. Like he would, your audience would be follow those three.
I want to find out about Fisto's child abuse and all that fun stuff.
He's actually Duncan's brother, so there you get the whole brother killed the brother thing.
Yeah, like I'm down for that movie. Let's
Man Dufresne.
I'm
You're a man who knows how to get things.
I'm finally scoring some points with you guys.
Yeah, man.
By the way, a copyright Adam Tipton.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
see, I wouldn't even reveal. I mean, I would costume the characters and since we're off planet or since it's been taken over or destroyed, I mean, I would rebrand Eternia. I wouldn't even let the audience know that. That would be the big surprise. It's not a He-Man movie until we actually show
right.
He-Man.
Absolutely.
That would be the twist. It's then even Adam wouldn't even. I mean, it would never be out of. He would be Adam, but they would call him something else, and until we find out at the very end that he is He-Man. Then we go on to the second movie, or
don't-
something like that. Or
Don't even put him in the movie. Just Fisto and who did you say, Clamptrap and
Champ Clamp,
Champ
Rhino
Clancy
Star.
and Rhino Star. Just have them.
Rhino Blast. Rhino Blast. Sorry.
Okay, not a He-Man fan. All the other 80s cartoons. So we get them in the prison from minute 1 to minute 119, and on minute 120, door bursts open. He-Man walks in, tidy whities and everything. I'm here to save the day. Roll credits. Boom.
The loincloth version of the troops. I like it. I'm bringing you guys around. Now,
bowl cut. Yes.
I'm going to bring this up. We're talking about reboots and remakes. You have a thought on the way Star Trek was rebooted. You told me earlier about how you thought.
I have many thoughts.
Well, you liked how
they
they rebooted the franchise without pissing off the hardcore fans.
Yeah, I liked how they separated at least according to me. Now maybe there's someone else that's got a more sophisticated technical explanation here, but to me it seems as though the Abrams universe has successfully diverged from the Roddenberry universe.
Without destroying the Roddenberry.
Well, it's a parallel universe. You can't destroy the Roddenberry universe. It doesn't,
Well, what I mean is that they didn't try and like with Star Trek Enterprise, they tried to say no, this is the history of the Federation.
Okay, well that's that. They tried to stay on track at the beginning in the first part, but the ratings sucked, so they were trying to stir things up, and then they screwed up continuity.
That's what I'm saying. Is that
but you can't screw up continuity of this universe when everything's taking place in a parallel universe.
But the thing is that the J.J. Abrams universe drug in the Star Trek Enterprise universe into its parallel universe by mentioning Admiral Archer and Admiral Archer's dog.
Okay, the diversion point is that all that happened before they were exactly the same universe until the Romulans.
No, he's saying no.
What I'm saying is that the Star Trek Enterprise series serves as the foundation for the Abrams universe.
And I'll agree with you. I absolutely love how they decided to reboot the Star Trek universe. I think that was a really intelligent way to do it. I think it was the right way to do it. Now,
and they ran out of ideas for the second film.
Whether you like the Star Trek movies or not, that's up for debate. But that how they split that universe and having Leonard Nimoy in on the very first reboot, that was phenomenal.
Well,
I love that
Nimoy
decision.
/ Spock is the kind of guiding light through all of Star Trek. He was I think he's the only character from the very first pilot, right, to make it through.
Oh yeah. He's the only character from the pilot that made it into the actual series.
Right. I mean, he's kind of the symbol of Star Trek, and also he makes a mention about Kirk, and when he's talking to Kirk in that ice cave thing or whatever, he says it makes it clear that he knew a different Kirk than this one. So anyway, but what I liked about it, and this is what I told Adam, was that we now can have the best of both worlds. Star Trek reference there too.
I thought it was a porn reference, man.
But now the Roddenberry fans, such as myself, can have our Star Trek, and then they're free to go on and do.
Well, I don't know how much further they're going to go after the last
never,
two.
But I don't care. At least the oil is now out of my water.
So is that something? If you're writing a remake, is that something you should hit? Don't piss off the fan.
Depends on how big your fan base is.
Yeah.
The Star Trek fan base is enormous.
But is that something we, as a writer, would keep in mind telling the story? Can we tell a different story, but somehow, or should we say, you know what, guys, it's still there, but we want to tell this story.
If you try and make all of your fans happy, you're going to piss someone off unless you made the exact same movie with better graphics. And even then, some of them are going to get mad.
There's always going to be a contrarian, no matter what you make. I mean, it's yeah. Huh?
He's pointing at me.
Oh, Hooker and a cold beard, he's happy, dude. That's not hard. He's not hard to please.
Well, I took that
into
right.
But I hate most movies.
I took that into account when I came up with the He-Man idea. You keep the 84 continuity, you keep the 91 continuity, and then is that maybe that's something.
Now, my problem with that is when you go from TV show to TV show into a movie is maintaining all the continuity errors, because in TV shows in general, you have to have a real fine-tooth comb to make sure that you don't contradict yourself on accident. So I almost would prefer to divest myself from the TV shows into the movies.
That's one of the things that bothered me about Star Trek Enterprise was that they introduced all kinds of technology.
They shouldn't have made. I mean, they should never have started doing a series in the past. Because
and Star Trek
they
has always
screwed
had its
themselves.
best success going forward.
Yeah, if you were going to do an Archer series, Archer existed before they did the series, so they should have just done a 2-episode thing to and introduced him as a character and then moved on. You have to keep going forward with that stuff, or you're going to completely annihilate continuity, and they did.
Yeah,
the only decent they did do, in my opinion, was their introduction to the mirror universe. Now, I thought that was really well done, showing.
I liked the show,
Yeah.
like a standalone. Like I liked Scott Bakula, I like all the actors.
Yeah.
I thought it was a well done show. I just didn't like how they tried to,
I think
cherry pick the Trek that they needed.
They should film a final episode where he leaps out of the Captain Archer's body.
That would be awesome.
That would be stellarly cool.
I love joke episodes like that. I would kill for.
I would
a joke
love that,
episode like
dude.
that. But you want to talk about really good remakes, reboots, whatever you want to call it, the sci-fi Battlestar Galactica. And I feel like that did a phenomenal job. It kept the overall tone. It kept the thing that you wanted, which was the frantic race for civilization, but it made it different enough that was interesting if you watched the original, and it gave it a fresh look. I mean, it put for God's sakes, it put magic in the Battlestar universe.
It fits into all the categories too, because it's a remake, but it's also it's continuity. All this has happened before. All this will happen again. I mean, it's a circular time. It's They kept the original exists in the same universe.
There's other things that get remade that are not in the same, like Stargate is another show I like, but the original Stargate movie got reimagined /
No, that was the
invented.
TV series was a sequel. They just
Oh,
recast.
it was?
Yeah,
I thought it was-
oh no, all the events that happened in the
Yeah.
movie are exact. I mean, it's
James Spader's character.
yeah, it's just it's 12 months later, and it's
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I totally got that.
Oh yeah, dude. You can start watching with the movie and go straight through the series. It's all continuity. I mean, it's Stargate is beautifully done.
But it was redone on TV, I guess is what
Right.
the main thing I was saying.
No, it
If
just
you're gonna
continues on.
No, I know, but I mean, it wasn't a movie that got made.
Okay.
Like it wasn't Stargate Part 2. It was Stargate SG-1 turned into a TV show. But what you were talking about doing whatever, one venue doesn't, I don't know if that's the right word, but it doesn't have to stay. Like if it was a movie, it doesn't have to stay a movie. It could become a TV show. Or if it was a TV show or whatever.
I think you can, but I feel like Stargate 1 or SG-1 is the exception and not the rule.
Yeah.
To me, I really feel like the kiss of death for a movie is when it goes to the TV.
Well, there are exceptions.
Exceptions, not
Yeah,
rules,
yeah.
but I feel like most of them are bad, and especially with something coming up, is it Divergent series that's doing that with the final book. They're not making a movie; they're making it a TV show
That's because
for that.
they were kind of movies were flops. Right?
They were a little rough.
Now
There's no lie there.
Well, now that the Hunger Games are over, they've got nothing to parasite off of. Like weren't they kind of parasiting off the Hunger Games popularity?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Maze Runner got made because of the
That's
Hunger
Hunger
Games
Games.
popularity. A Divergent series got made.
It's really a hard call because with the Marvel stuff and everything being in the same universe and half of them being TV shows and half of them being movies, arguably those could be.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. can get real bad sometimes.
It's absolutely. It was absolutely horrible during the last Thor movie when they tried to work all that in.
You see, I liked that. I liked them being in England cleaning up Thor's mess. I thought that was a really clever way to do it.
Yeah.
I thought they dropped the ball when Winter Soldier came out. I felt
really?
that should have tied in a little bit better than it did.
It stirred it up quite a bit, but
and I feel like and Disney, if you're listening, you missed a seriously good cameo when they brought the Shield helicarrier up at the last minute. That should have been the cast of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. piloting that damn thing.
Oh, yeah.
And that would have been phenomenal. I would have loved that. But yeah, like I feel like when you move into the Marvel TV series, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s mostly bad. There's a few good episodes. It should be 6 episode long seasons because that's about as many good episodes as they have. And I feel like
that's pretty much. I mean, 6 to 10 episodes is pretty much the limit for everybody anymore. Everything else is going to be just filler. I mean, I don't think they. and I don't know whether it's because they don't have enough good writers or they don't have enough attentive writers. But I mean, most of the really good shows out there are 6 to 10 episodes, generally 10.
Yeah, and I feel like
I'm a big fan of Dark Matter. It runs 13, and I think they keep it fresh without having to put in filler episodes. I hate segue in filler episodes. Cannot stand them.
To me, it kind of depends on which kind of shows you have. Some shows lean themselves a little bit better to that. Supernatural, for example, I think is a perfect show for the filler episode. The random one
Monster of the Week shows
work.
Monster of the Week shows work great. Supernatural is just perfect the way that I love. I'm sorry, I'm a huge Supernatural fan, so it's
yeah. But I think,
and I cannot wait to see how they got get them out of the last season's finale. It's going to be, because a huge fustercluck.
All right, so reimaginings, are they harder to do than reboots, remakes? Can we as fans take a reimagining of an IP? Like Robert Englund, another franchise that I love, and I've mentioned it several times. Robert Englund in an interview said when they just announced the reboot of the franchise of Nightmare on Elm Street, he wanted, because they asked him to do it, and he's like, I'm 70-something years old.
He could still do it, though.
But so he's like, he goes, because they asked him what he wanted. He goes, I kind of want to see Freddy in a sports coat or something. He goes, I want them to do something completely different. Now, I don't know if a sports coat would be too, but I like when the Joker was announced. First of all, I didn't want him in the Suicide Squad, but then when he was in the Suicide, I had this conversation with Mike Jenkins when they showed the tattoos and everything. I kind of liked. I didn't like he was in the movie, but I kind of liked it because I want to see like a version of the Joker where he's called the Joker ironically, like people call Curly have no hair, like he doesn't like to laugh.
Well, that's Curly actually. He actually did have curly red hair. They just shaved his head for the act. His nickname came from before.
Right, but
he actually did. They called him Curly because they grew up with him and he had curly red hair. So it wasn't really being ironic.
But you know what I mean. Like I would like that would be interesting to me. Like this since he was in the Suicide Squad, he had this gangster look. I was like, oh, it'd be kind of cool if he's called a Joker, but he doesn't really do jokes and he doesn't really like to laugh. And when he laughs, it's sardonic. It's not like is it harder to do a reimagining? Would you guys be willing to write a reimagining of so Thomas and Martha Wayne. Thomas gets the gun out, shoots the criminal in the face. Bruce becomes a bad guy because he's like, my dad's horrible. He becomes a bad guy.
There have been some great series where Bruce gets shot and Thomas Wayne becomes the bad guy
Injustice
too.
Or Injustice.
Flashpoint. Yep.
Yeah.
But so in reimaginings, are fans willing to accept it?
I think it depends on the level of character that you're reimagining. I don't think you can take an iconic character like Joker and give him a completely 180-degree morality change, and you can't make the heroic Joker as an ongoing thing. Yeah. You can't make the I kill everyone Batman because it's such a change to that character, and that's what makes people mad. That's what made me mad about Batman vs. Superman. I'm a huge Batman fan. I hated the murderous Batman we got because that's always such a foundation to his character. I think you can shake it and modify it and twist his character in different places, but the core center has to be that person. Like, if you wanted to make Batman care a little bit more about money than he does, okay. If you wanted to take his personality and change small little aspects, like, and they did this in the Batman trilogy, Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises. They completely took the detective nature from Batman and removed it from his character.
Except for a couple scenes, the bullet scene.
A couple scenes,
yeah,
sure.
Probably most outrageous.
Yeah, but in that particular scene, it's less Batman doing it and more Alfred and Lucius doing it. And that's where all your detective stuff came from that film. And I love those two of the three movies. So I think you can take aspects of them and change them. But overall, they gotta stay the same. I think that changes if you get a less popular character, though. If you grab Nova and change Nova's core storyline, only the hardcore Nova fans are really going to notice anything. And even then, does he have something so solid in his center to change? And so we're not totally geeking out. If you want to talk about Well, that's still kind of geeking out. Star Wars. We want to talk about. Let's grab Shawshank Redemption because we talked about it earlier.
Sure.
If you take Andy Dufresne and change aspects of who he is, maybe he's not an accountant. Maybe he's a lawyer instead. That movie works fine.
Yeah.
But you can't change, like, Red's self-loathing. The fact that Red is the only guilty man in Shawshank Prison, you can't change that. But you can change who Red is. If you haven't read the book, Red is an Irishman in the Shawshank Redemption book. And
The story is about the redemption of Red. It's not. It's about his forgiving himself and getting and all that stuff. It's not about Andy, really.
Right,
Yeah.
but you have Morgan Freeman who takes that role, and they changed that line in the book. Well, maybe I'm Irish to be ironic, and you change a lot of aspects of that character, but you keep the central point of who he is alive. And I think you can do that if we were to reimagine Shawshank Redemption. You could reshoot it all in modern time and make. Maybe you make Andy a business investor, or a stock market guy,
Or Bernie Madoff.
or Bernie Madoff,
or Donald
absolutely.
Trump.
Or sure.
You have so much hate.
Um,
Not that I have love.
yeah, not that we're going to get too political.
No,
but
I
you
know. I
can-
keep
you
trying
can-
not to, but it's just.
You can make him into.
But I don't even know who the press secretary is this hour,
week.
this
This
minute,
week, yeah.
this hour, this minute, this week. I mean, it's getting kind of silly.
Okay, so, all right, I'm going to name off some movies that came out this year, or are going to come out this year. Tell me remake, reboot, reimaginings.
Huh? Oh, I'm not. I was looking at. Sorry.
Someone's cheating.
Okay.
No, I don't need to cheat. I do. If it's coming out this year, I know it.
Okay. Kong Skull Island. Remake, reboot, reimagine. Or maybe a mixture. Maybe it's
It's a
a
mi-
I'm going
That's
to
a-
recuse myself from this round because I don't really know.
Okay, that's a bit of everything.
Well, you've seen. I know you've seen trailers of the new Kong,
No.
King Kong. All right, fine. We won't talk to you.
Samuel L. Jackson and King Kong with throat gloves on battle.
It's a little bit of everything.
I mean,
right?
it's a little bit of everything.
The biggest we've seen Kong, and he's only going to get bigger.
I feel like I would have to put that into reimagining because you have the biggest Kong you ever have, and then you have all of those little monsters.
Right,
But
but
they-
you've
they've always
got
been-
elements of the originals.
Yeah,
though,
they've
in
always,
there.
the other monsters have always been in it, though.
In the Kong movies?
Yeah, there was dinosaurs.
That's-
You're right. They're different.
That's later
in
on
Skull.
after the 34 or 19 or whatever it is.
No,
1941.
in the original stop motion, he fought a T-Rex.
Did he?
Yeah.
I'd have to look at it again.
Okay, well, T-Rex is still not the
Fair
what are
enough.
the Skuller monsters. What are they called?
Skullwalkers.
Skullwalkers. There we go.
Now that's
yeah.
it out loud. It sounds stupid. But yeah, you're right. Okay, fair enough. So we're going more of a reimagining.
That's my opinion.
I'll agree with that.
Okay. Now this one I'm interested in because this one is people are very polarizing this. I'm going to combine this with a movie that didn't come out this year, the Prometheus Alien Covenant. Remake, reboot, reimagining, sequel,
It's
cluster.
It's a reimagining sequel.
It's
ta- yeah.
a sequel. I mean,
Well,
it
it
picks
doesn't
up
even
where
sound like they-
Prometheus
Yeah,
left
it-
off.
But it's supposed to be part
It's
of
kind
the
of
Alien
it's kind of a
series.
sequel prequel though, isn't it? Or,
Yeah, because
it's
I mean,
'cause-
Prometheus happened well before the Alien
Yeah.
franchise. Covenant picks up like a year or some amount of time after Prometheus happens, and it sets up the first Alien movie. I mean,
Now,
what they're
have you-
doing is
have
creating
you
the most.
seen it, though? Have you seen
I
Covenant?
have seen Covenant.
It doesn't set up the first film. They're nowhere near LV-126.
No, but okay, fair enough. I mean, I expect there to be a third movie that completely sets the bridge.
Right.
But you have the aliens leave the planet into space. You get the traditional alien thing that Prometheus was kind of missing, and you're starting to see all the steps go into place.
But it seems like the xenomorphs. It seems like they completely were trying to explain. They were trying to reboot or reimagine the xenomorphs, or here we go. What do you call the thing in comics where you a retcon? They're
Retcon.
retconning the xenomorphs, but they're just. It's like a dangling participle now. It's just like they've made it. Is David the one who made them? Or are they just a natural creature that in space?
And the mystery was always one of those things that Alien had. The one thing I didn't like about Alien Covenant, I mean, far from a good film, don't get me wrong, but I enjoyed the hell out of it. The thing that I didn't like about it most was that it cut the Alien vs. Predator movies out of the Alien
I
continuity.
hated that. That was such a Alien vs Predator rocked.
But
Oh,
they were fun movies.
they
Okay,
were
all
popcorn
right,
movies,
all right.
but they were based on some really good comics too.
Right.
So-
Well, I'll get that one. Okay.
But they were popcorn movies, and it was fun to. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
All right. Okay. Okay. The Tom Cruise Mummy remake, reboot, reimagining, load of crap.
it's a reimagining, but it's also but they're trying to reboot the old Universal Monsters series, but they're they're taking a different direction. Now that one's the Mummy. Is it already out or is it already?
That's the thing. Like
Yeah,
it's the second. Dracula Untold was supposed to be the start of the Dark Universe.
Oh,
Okay.
what?
Yeah.
I
really?
didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
because at the end of
They're
at
not
the,
they're
at
not
the
doing
end
too well with that
Yeah,
Dark
exactly.
Universe. There are they?
That's my point. That's my point. Dracula Untold. The end of that, you see Van Helsing and you
Mhm.
see Dracula in the modern day, and he says something like the game is afoot or the
Mhm.
game is on or whatever. That was supposed to be the beginning of the Dark Universe.
Yeah.
That was horrible. So that was it's been 2 years since that movie came out. So they retooled it.
Mhm.
Started with the Mummy. They got Tom Cruise in it. Tom Cruised it up, which is not always a bad thing. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's a really good thing. And this movie completely has flopped.
Yeah, they should have started with the minor Universal characters and done Phantom of the Opera and maybe like thrown in Dorian Gray or something like that. Done little minor characters, then introduced the bigger ones. I would just take it as read that they already exist because they're not. You can't. These characters have been so done to death at this point.
Yeah, I feel like if you're going to do that, you're just making the Penny Dreadful TV show. That's all you're doing at that point.
We could do that. We could bring that back. That would be fun. I like that show.
I like that show as well.
It ended poorly. I want it back.
But I feel like you would have to make it different. Like the Mummy was significantly different than the other mummies. Now I haven't had the opportunity to watch the entirety of the movie.
Mhm.
That's on my to watch list though, and it looked like
you pirated it.
no, I don't pirate anything.
Okay, good.
I am
Nobody here pirates anything ever.
Yeah, to those who
except
pirate,
I'm legitimate.
I am buying.
I don't pirate either.
I am buying comic books on my way out the door.
Andy Record pirates. Andy Record pirate.
Andy. I've never seen him pirate anything ever.
Oh, here are the guys with the black bag right through the door.
That's not what they're here for.
So okay. So,
It.
remake, reboot,
Remake.
remake, straight on remake.
That's
Straight
got to
on,
be
yeah.
a remake. I
It's
mean,
absolutely because they're going. Both of them are based off the book, and this one's supposed to.
yeah. I mean, and
It's a-
scene for scene almost. Like,
Oh yeah.
there's-
pretty. Yeah.
There's a video floating around Facebook and YouTube where you can see the original trailer and the new trailer, and it is scene for scene, and it is
Yeah,
beautiful.
It's really.
Are they doing the
I'm
adult
excited.
stuff in this one? Or are they? Cause
Oh, yeah.
I thought they were gonna do the kid in one, and then the.
Are they gonna?
I
Is
think.
that the plan?
Am I wrong?
I
Were
thought-
they doing the loser clubs as kids first, and the
Isn't they
loser
gonna do
clubs
it-
as adults?
Are they going to do a sequel and do the
I
adult
thought-
part of it?
I don't
could
think
be
they've
wrong.
announced a sequel yet, but I
Okay.
think
Oh.
I think they
Is
did
that the
take
plan?
part.
Oh, that's gonna
I
be
think
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I'm sorry. I just keep watching the trailer and I'm
Oh yeah.
excited about it.
Now, Andy,
I float.
you can re-accuse yourself into this one because I know you'd be into this one. Blade Runner 2049.
Haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it? Okay, recuse yourself back out.
That's a sequel.
Yeah, it's straight up sequel.
That's a straight up sequel.
Not a rebooted series.
No, it's a sequel. It's
Yeah, I mean, it's got Harrison
Yeah, it's-
Ford's
it's- it's-
characters in
it's-
it, and
yeah,
But okay, so they got Harrison Ford's character in it, but are they rebooting it because they got the Gosling in it?
No, it's a sequel. It takes place.
But it's not. It's
3 decades later, and it's what happened afterwards. You know.
But can you use a sequel as a reboot of this?
Well,
one?
You could use a sequel to revitalize a franchise. You know, many years later, obviously. I mean, with Star Wars. You know.
That would not be a reboot then.
if
Okay.
relaunch,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Alright,
is what we
alright.
kind of want to
yeah.
look for there.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Because you had that with Star Wars.
Mhm.
The Indiana Jones movie tried that. Yeah, so I think this is a legit sequel, just like what was it, Wall Street had that sequel
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
30 years separate from
But-
the original
Yes.
film.
They had the cancer that is LaBeouf,
LaBeouf, Shia LaBeouf.
which I liked him a lot, but man, he's really
He's
screwed his
just-
life
I
up.
not one of my favorite actors.
I dug him, man, but like when he was in Constantine, that area, I liked him. I thought but he's really done something with his life.
It was good in Disturbia.
He
Yeah, he's good in Disturbia.
Disturbia. I think that's probably the only
He was
movie of
good
his
in
I
like, Even
like.
Stevens.
He's been. He just. I loathe his character in Indiana Jones.
But what about Fury? Did you like him in Fury? He took it right in the face at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I know. But he did put I saw a lot of the outtakes from that movie, and he took a lot of he did put a lot into his character. But he needs to decide if he's going to be what's his name, the guy that Last of Mohicans, dude. He needs to decide if he's going to be a regular actor or Daniel Day-Lewis or a performer in Star. He doesn't know who he is. That's his problem. I mean,
he's apparently a pirater of other people's intellectual property.
Well, that too. You know, he doesn't know who he is. That's exactly Shia LaBeouf's problem. He doesn't know. He's still finding himself, and I don't think he's got a lot of sane people advising him either. You know.
Yeah,
he just did that elevator art thing there, where he was an elevator operator or whatever, and I don't know.
I don't mind them doing some off the wall stuff, like like his promotion, the motivational video he did. So that stuff's fine. But when you get into a film, you need to have a different character.
There's a lot of these stars, they get to that point where they've got terrible advice. Like, remember when Jim Carrey did that creepy internet e-card to Emma Stone, and you're like, is he joking? Or is he serious? Because they go over the top, and their hand. Somebody needs to. That's a huge problem in Hollywood with these big stars. Nobody's there to say no. Everybody always wants to tell them yes, but sometimes you got to be like, no, dude, no, no.
I feel like there's a little bit of a lampshade hanging with the new Siri commercial with The Rock. If you guys seen that, that is absolutely fantastic. The Siri, what's on my schedule today? And he's taking shots in outer space. He's launching a new fashion line, doing the Sistine Chapel.
Well, he's now registered to run in 2020 for president too. So I mean, The Rock does everything. He's next Bo Knows.
Hey, you know what? If the debates turn into rock bottoms and people's elbows, I'm down. Let's do it.
It's going that way with the current president we got. Okay. You know what? All right. Okay. You can do it. All right.
He was very quiet to not disturb the podcast.
I know. I called him out on purpose.
Right on it. So
I gotta pee. I'll be back.
Okay. You want us to continue or wait?
Huh?
You want us to?
Without me, I'll jump in.
Okay. We won't tread water.
But you're gonna make these people wait for it?
Yeah.
We can edit this out in post.
So okay. All right. Since last time.
Do it live. All right.
Since last time we.
Do it live. Fucking do it live.
So last time we wrote a fictional superhero movie. This time we're in a power meeting in Hollywood. We got Brian Grazer, spiky hair dude. We got Spielberg. We got all the power players sitting in front of a table looking at us. They're going to shoot out some dead franchises at us. It's our job to come up with remake, reboot, reimagining, a quick, just a selling point. How would we do it? Okay, so I'm going to give you guys some dead franchises, and we'll see what we got here.
I'm in. Let's do
Fair
it.
enough? Okay.
Sure.
All right. I made a mistake. I did not realize this was a movie, or I mean, I did know, but I didn't think of it until he mentioned it. But the Lethal Weapon franchise, we want to bring it back. Let's say TV show sucked. It's down. Let's bring it back.
No.
Bring it back.
Are you asking me yes or no?
No. He wants to know how we do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they've already got the money. The answer is yes, we're doing it.
Okay.
But how do we do it and not make it suck?
Right.
And I think you got to find that original chemistry. You got to find that Mel Gibson, Donald Glover chemistry between the two of them.
Whoa, Donald Glover. Danny Glover.
Danny Glover.
Oh,
I'm
no,
sorry. Danny Glover,
sorry.
my bad.
You're like, I was like, whoa.
Daniel Day Glover.
Okay, he's back from peeing real quick. We're gonna set this up. Okay, so real quick, last week we wrote a fictional superhero movie. Okay. This week we're in a power meeting with Brian Grazer, Ron Howard, Steven Spielberg, whoever I mentioned last time, and the answer is yes to all these. They're sitting in front of us. They're giving us the money. We have to come up with how to write these remakes, reboots, reimaginings. Okay. Like I told them, I forgot this was a TV show, but Lethal Weapon. We want to bring it back. The answer is yes. We're bringing it back in movie form. How are you guys going to do it?
The TV show's perfect. I wouldn't do it.
TV show doesn't exist.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's all about finding that perfect chemistry between the characters. You got to have someone who can be super serious, but can be funny like Mel Gibson was. And then you got to find that old, grizzled, that veteran police force kind of guy.
Who do we got? What about? We were talking about.
Don't ignore Busey.
we were talking about last week.
If you're gonna reboot, you gotta have a good villain. Busey was excellent. Say what you want about Gary, he's had an interesting life, but he was great in that part.
That's fair.
So, you got to make sure that you cast the villain well. The villain in any movie, the villain is what makes your show. Because.
And it's awesome in those Fire Stick commercials.
Yeah, he is awesome in the Fire Stick commercials.
So what about, we talked about it last week, what about switching up the ethnicities of the characters?
I think they're interchangeable.
Yeah, I think you.
I don't think that's
I don't think that's required.
Yeah, there's no. I don't think they're written in that regards. It's not.
Yeah, because I guess it never was a black and white.
Yeah,
Nobody
nobody ever started noticing that stuff until.
Okay, so
I think if you're if you want to do that, it has to be non-central to the plot.
Okay.
Like Shanghai Noon does not work.
That's not a beer. We don't condone.
No,
we don't condone drinking in podcast.
The reason I have to pee a lot is because I work 2 jobs and I'm on my 15th Monster Energy drink today. So.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, you're good. So yeah, I think we don't have to really factor in race. So, for example, if I was recasting it, my old grizzled cop is Christopher Lambert. I think he could.
You think he?
It's
really?
It's pronounced Lambert.
Is it?
Is
It's
it really?
Chris Lambert. Yeah, he's French.
Oh, okay. My bad.
But isn't he like at 70s now? I mean, would he still be on the force?
Dude, he's 1 week from retiring, man.
1 week from retiring in that kind of job is like 63, 56, something like that. It's not. You don't have a lot of 70-year-old beat cops guys.
well, not beat cop, but you have detectives.
Yeah, detective.
I mean,
Yeah.
actually, when you hit 65, you're doing Andy's job.
Ouch.
Oh.
What about okay, Gibson? We going? What about?
It's true that's where the cops need the extra money. They retire from the force. They become
keep going.
They become security guards.
All right, then.
Ex-police?
No.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, okay. Well, let's go with Christopher Lambert. That'll bring in the Highlander crowd. What about the young Mel Gibson? Chris Pratt? No, he's too old.
No, he's too old. Well, not too old, but he's too much.
But he's got a lot of time now. He's going to be single.
You think he's going to be single, or do you think that that last movie with Jennifer Lawrence went really, really well?
I got really excited because everyone's like, "Oh, so you're going to date Anna Fair?" I'm like, "No, Chris Pratt." Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, that's an idea. Let's hear it. Who do you have?
Or an unknown. What about an unknown?
Unknown. That was Mel Gibson was kind of an unknown, apart from Mad Max. But
right.
yeah, but that wasn't his voice, and when it became famous over here, it wasn't until later that he redubbed it with his own voice in the original Mad Max.
So okay, if you guys think of one, just throw it out there. Story-wise, we going with still the buddy cop formula? We going everything's got to be gritty? Does it got to be gritty? And everything's ironic humor, or
I think you gotta have a balance. Like that's what made Lethal Weapon so iconic.
It's not a drama; it's a popcorn movie. It's an adventure. You gotta have the.
Yeah, how would a cop movie be taken right now with the attitudes toward police?
The new movie Detroit, it's out. It kind of bashes the police a little bit. Of course, that's based on a true story.
Yeah.
Didn't they try that Chips movie here recently, and that didn't?
But that would,
well, that's because it was Chips.
It was Chips.
Chips was funny, but didn't they take it like over the top? Like, complete.
I didn't see it.
Well, you guys
I had
know
my fill of chips.
The last I heard, they were working on Men in Black 3. It's Men in Black and 21 Jump Street.
No, they canceled.
They canceled that one finally. All right, great. Yeah, I didn't want to see a Men in Black 21 Jump Street matchup.
Okay, all right. So so we're doing that. Brian Grazer throws out nowadays everything's Sharknado, two-headed shark attack. we want to reboot Jaws. We're hopping on the sci-fi shark bandwagon. We're rebooting Jaws. Jaws 4 was horrible. Let's start it over.
Return of Jaws.
I mean,
That
really,
was-
was anything besides Jaws 1 good?
Jaws 3D was good when I was a kid. It did not. It did not
What's the one with
What
Louis
did you think of
Gossett?
Piranha 3D?
Two.
Just-
I like the boobs, but as a story, it was horrible.
I don't think I would reboot Jaws. It has the same problem that a lot of horror movies have. They don't adequately explain the motivation for them not getting the fuck off the beach. You know, why
Well,
are
I
you
think-
in the? You know this is going on. Why are you in the water?
But I think now would be perfect with the way our economy is, man. It's be like, we can't shut this down. It's like the only way our town makes money. I think that would make, especially nowadays.
If you're going to do Jaws, you have to solve that problem. Why, and that only goes so far because you have other things you can deal with that. I think if you reboot Jaws, you make it Lone Man in the Sea kind of movie. You get
Oh, you go all Moby Dick on it?
Yeah, you go Moby
Yeah.
Dick on it. You get one guy on a boat, massive shark, sinks the boat, stranded on an island. Shark hangs out for X reason.
Okay, I love that idea, but
Jaws Castaway.
Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah.
but we're shooting. This is Brian Grazer and Spielberg now. Is that going to make money? Now four of us would go see it, but
I
is
don't.
that,
I don't
if you
think
call
you
it
could.
Jaws, I think it will.
I think they've taken the shark thing to its.
so there's no way we can make a serious shark movie.
I don't think you can make a serious shark movie and make money as with the way things are now because Jaws was. All the Jaws movies were before Shark Week started, before Sharknado started. It's everybody's, I mean, yeah, the sharks are interesting, but I just don't know how
What
you can
about
make
the
it.
shark as the hero, like Free Willy, only with sharks?
What's your deal with like just pissing on him? You're like the bad guy needs to win.
I'm actually kind of down for that. I mean, the problem
See?
with Jaws was it made sharks, which are just a natural predator in the world, such this villainous thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Shark Week had to combat that because sharks are not evil like
Right.
Jaws, portrayed. So I think if you're going to make a shark movie, you have to make them evil like Deep Blue Sea did.
I think we should do it as an animated show and do it from the pilot fish's perspective.
Well, let's roll with the idea that the shark's the good guy. How would you make the shark the good guy?
Poachers,
He eats
man.
the bad. Yeah, he eats the poachers.
Well, yeah, the first hit would be some Somalian pirates.
Yeah,
You know?
Well,
perfect.
no, man.
They keep, no, they're
You
like
Bambi that shit up.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, your
Jaws.
hero's journey kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Jaws
right.
is daddy shark. Fishermen come in, kill mama shark. Daddy shark goes on revenge.
Kill bigger jaws and then
Yeah, I mean, you get bandana, knife in the teeth, shark Rambo. Let's do it.
I don't know if Grazer likes that idea. Okay, anyway. Okay.
Can't speak for him.
I still like the idea of an animated one with from the pilot fish's perspective. So you got that.
You could do it from a goldfish perspective and just do 6-second
I'm
scenes.
totally missing out on what you're doing.
No, that turned out to be wrong. Goldfish have a longer memory.
Oh, really? That's a lie.
It's 2 laps around the ball.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
So guess who just walked in the door? Joel Silver. We're remaking The Matrix. Go.
You.
The Matrix was a remake.
Yeah, let's, we pull Keanu Reeves out.
Okay, so Ghost in the Shell's come out.
Mm-hmm.
The Scarlett Johansson movie's come out, so everyone knows they're like they stole that from the Matrix, and all of us nerds are like, no, they stole that from that. So we want to reboot it. We want to remake it. Do we make Matrix 4 with the same characters, or are we just starting from the beginning? Neo is still a hacker.
I think you got to start it over. I don't think there's any room for Matrix 4. Like, especially not when you have the using the Force in Matrix 3 and
I don't know.
that was ridiculous.
These Messiah films have been so overdone. And,
But here's the thing: we were talking about it earlier. You put Keanu in a movie, you're going to get money, and you're going to get people to want to work. Because Street Kings, the cop movie he made, they were having a hard. David Ayer, the guy who did Suicide Squad, they were having a hard time getting things up and going. Keanu Reeves agreed to do the movie. All of a sudden, they've got money pouring in, and they've got actors who want to work with them. So maybe pulling Keanu out is not the best idea. Or I don't know. I'm just throwing it out.
you can't reboot if you're going to leave Keanu in. If you could attach him to the project as a producer, and that would probably help.
Okay.
Or
if they think he's involved in.
Keanu takes the place of Morpheus.
That's not a bad idea.
He's getting older now.
Yeah.
So put him.
He looks like he's 12
he looks
still,
so
dude.
damn
I mean,
good,
he's,
Yeah. But yeah, they can make him look old and good like they did in Man of Tai Chi.
Mm-hmm.
They made him look old. They made him look good. They made him look at that part. And I think you can do that with Morpheus. You make him the mentor, and you wake someone else from the Matrix up. You don't call him Neo. You don't call anyone in the film Neo. You don't call anyone Trinity. You don't call anyone Morpheus. And at the end of the movie, you go, was that a sequel or was that a reboot?
Okay,
Because there was Keanu Reeves.
So in the story, you don't mention Morpheus. You don't mention like, hey, where's old Fishy at? You don't mention so you don't mention that. Is he blind? Or is he supposed to be Neo and we were supposed to guess? So he has vision now. Because when he was blind at the end of the 3, right?
That's true. That he was. Screw it. Why not? Put him in sunglasses.
Do we keep?
Was he blind?
Do we keep the story going, or is it just like?
I mean, how blind can you be inside the Matrix, though?
Exactly. I mean,
you're hooked into that. I mean, that's it.
Matrix was beautiful because it kept you guessing.
Yeah.
But when Matrix 1 ended, you didn't have answers. So I think you got to do the same thing.
Well,
You've got to make more questions than you answer in this film.
Yeah.
Well, if we stay in the real world, but then at the end you find out that we're actually in the Matrix the whole time.
Kind of Sixth Sense it?
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
Joel Silver left. He's good. Okay. Now, now I picked one that's I don't know nothing about it. As far as I know, you guys aren't fans. You guys may be fans. I thought it'd be interesting. The Step Up series. I thought it'd be interesting to try it. Like I don't know. Like I know there's dance. I know.
Yeah, that's.
But it's dead. It's a dead franchise.
All right.
I was like, all right, let's try it. Like I know nothing about it.
I've seen
Other than
trailers.
Dancer.
That's it, dude.
Other than I know Channing Tatum
like-
met his wife on that
Yeah.
movie.
It's like just like Pitch Perfect with me. I've seen trailers. I have no idea what it's about. And
So, one of my many non-geek hobbies.
Is you dance?
I do not.
Dance
I
off.
You
I
are
do
a
not
tap
dance.
dancing
Oh my
fool, aren't you?
God.
I do not dance. I love to watch people dance. America's Best Dance Crew was my guilty pleasure. I watched it
Are you
every
saying you go to
week.
strip clubs a lot? You like watching people dance?
Well,
Is that what you-
hey. I mean, you got to appreciate art in all of its forms.
Gotcha.
But I liked the first Step Up movie, but it didn't have the same charm that those kind of dance shows had to me. I don't watch Do You Think You Can Dance, but I used to watch America's Best Dance Crew because that kind of hip hop dancing I really enjoy watching because it's fluid, it's beautiful. So I feel like if you do that, you have to make it a Rocky-like movie. It is scrappy upstarts, training montages, and you got to cut out all of the random. Oh, we're just going to burst into perfectly choreographed. Choreographed. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Dance sequences.
So
actually, you know what would sell these days would be if it started off with an accident and somebody was crippled and then they had surgery, and then had to work their way back up to, and then ended up in the Nationals or whatever with that stuff.
But that dancer was blind. But
Or-
he can
yeah,
see
yeah,
if it's
exactly.
raining.
That-
He can
it's-
see if it's raining.
Oh, that's so cliche.
Huh?
That's so cliche.
Read Facebook though. That's all people post about.
Well, sure.
So that's what they're going to go. Yeah, I know it's cliche, but we were talking about Hollywood and making money.
Cliche
and
makes
rebooting.
money, yeah.
I mean, if we were talking about the kind of movie I wanted to make, we wouldn't be on Step Up.
I just thought it'd be an interesting
Yeah,
idea.
but I'm telling you what would sell, and this is exactly what they would say in Hollywood too. You
Why if
got-
we took a square dancer?
Huh?
Square dancer, and there's like, is hip hop?
that's not a movie. That's a Saturday Night Live sketch.
Well, I know, but it's like the.
That's the Saturday Night Live sketch of Step Up that they're parodying right there. It's like,
But I mean, it's like the hip hop dancing. What's popular now? Like twerking or something?
no, twerking
Twerking
is about.
is a
It was like
joke.
fidgets.
Oh, okay.
It was for 5 minutes. It was hilarious, and now nobody cares
well,
anymore.
what's a popular dance? Dabbing? What's something that's like big now?
Well, no, I've kind of fell out of it since I don't watch America's Best Dance Crew, but they used to do like b-boying, pop and lock.
Breakdancing is coming back in a
crumping.
big way.
So you
Yeah.
take a square dancer, and who's just whatever.
You're a huge fan of Over the Top, aren't you? You love Sylvester McCoy in the arm wrestling
know what?
championships,
I will not
trying to win
admit-
back his son.
I neither admit nor deny anything. Anyway,
That's your movie. You gotta get behind the truck and go to the yeah.
I'm just saying that movie would be better if like Batman was in it. Okay.
If Sylvester Stallone's mom had been named Martha too, it would
So you take like that and he or she. Do we do a she? Why don't we do it? I guess those dance movies are always she's. The heroine, the leader's always a girl. So we take a dude. We take a dude.
A dude on heroin. Okay, I'm good. This is sounding good.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
But how do we just make that not Footloose?
Son of a bitch. Okay, all right. Let's do something different.
So I think you make it Rocky. You make it this guy has a dream, working at a butcher shop, trying to build it up, and instead of boxing, dance competition.
Just a steel town boy on a Saturday night.
Yep.
Yeah.
And movie 1 loses.
Yeah.
Movie 1.
Oh, Andy
Can't get it
love
done.
Andy's gonna love it. The hero loses. Andy's there. He's putting his own money to make this movie.
I'm just sitting here, man. Yeah, I'm getting.
Below the podcast, you'll find our link for our Kickstarter.
Okay, so that's all. What do you guys think of Cable? The review of Cable.
Cable looks awesome. I'm stoked.
Oh,
You really?
yeah, I do not
Really?
like
I
Josh
like it.
Brolin as Cable.
Really?
Yeah.
How come?
You got it. Once again, remember these are comedies.
Yeah, but he's got to be the serious guy though.
Right.
But-
He's going to be the straight man, but it's got to be somebody that can play off of Ryan Reynolds. I mean, I don't know if I love the trailer for Hitman's Bodyguard. I'm so stoked about that movie, and I think those two are going to work really well. Now, if Josh
looks
Brolin, and I don't think Josh Brolin would have gotten the part if Ryan Reynolds hadn't approved. It's got to be somebody with excellent chemistry with him, and it is. So he's going to be playing the straight man. I think it's going to rock. I like the costume and.
I think Brolin, once we get into the film, will do a fantastic job.
Mhm.
He doesn't look like Cable to me.
No, he doesn't. No, of course not.
No,
Yeah, that's my issue.
No, man.
Is
pretty
that
as,
when
as realistic as you can get. I think.
when I see him, Brolin looks almost too scrawny in a lot of those episodes and pictures, and not so much in the chest area because I mean you can only get so burly before you get to Rob Liefeld levels,
Right.
but he doesn't have that stiff jaw that I associate with Cable.
But
I wanted Ron Perlman.
Way too old.
Oh,
way
perfect.
too old.
How old do you think Cable is? The man's
Wait.
ancient.
Who was the other guy in it? The dude from Avatar. Man who stared at goats. He was in that too. The bad guy from Avatar. Got the.
Yeah, the one that's going to be the bad guy in the next 5 Avatar films, and they're bitching about.
He was.
They're going to use him as the
they
bad
want-
guy in all the Avatar films. They're making 4 more. Of
Right,
these
but I
fucking
mean, they
things.
wanted him for Cable as well.
Right. But I don't see Ron Perlman. I love Ron Perlman, but I don't see him as Cable.
Oh.
Plus, he's out of shape. I mean,
No,
and Cable is.
So was Chris Pratt.
Yeah,
I mean, Chris Pratt went on the world's best workout regime for Star-Lord.
Yeah.
but he's like what 40 years young. How old is Ron Perlman?
Ron Perlman's pretty old.
Yeah,
I mean, well, Beauty and the Beast was
Google it.
85.
we
Google
got
it.
Google it's coming up.
He's at least mid-50s.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least.
We think about Chris Pratt and Anna Faris right now. I'm just thinking of new stuff. I'm
It's
just
sad. I mean,
I'm
it's,
just
you know,
treading water while
I mean,
you
I
go.
was
So she's free now.
No, wait, Chris Pratt's free, buddy.
Well, I know you.
I gotta wonder if the chemistry was so good between him and Jennifer Lawrence that I gotta wonder if that didn't have something to do with it. I'm a little curious about that.
67.
67.
Okay.
Yeah. Born in 1950.
Okay. So that's what I'm curious about. That's something that nobody's talking about, which normally on the internet you'd think everybody would be talking about.
Well,
that,
Jennifer
but-
Lawrence went on Anna Faris's podcast,
Yeah.
and they talked about it a little bit.
All right, and you can't look at this and tell me Ron Perlman is not Cable.
Nah, man, I don't know. I don't.
So perfect. He's got that stiff jaw, that white flat top,
You know, okay.
and now maybe he needs to hit the gym. Maybe he needs to hit the gym.
Perfect casting, Nathan Fillion. I remembered his name,
Nathan
Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Fillion
Booster
is Cable.
Gold.
No, I was just trying to tell you guys I remembered his name.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
Yeah. Oh well, good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right on.
All right, well, we'll wrap it up. We're at an hour and a half almost, same as last time. Any, as far as remakes, reboots, reimaginings go, any recommendations?
Well, obviously, Lethal Weapon.
Okay.
The Lethal Weapon TV series. I had something in the back of my head, but lost it. What's the thing? God damn it! Going straight to series that they've been advertising the crap out of.
You gotta be a lot more specific than that.
I know.
Going to what? Netflix or what?
Who's in it? What is it about?
Shut up! I can't, brain not work. I guess
Will
Lethal
Smith
Weapon
was the devil.
Lethal Weapon, Lucy Daughter, Lucy Daughter, the Devil, the movie. Now that would rock. Now that I could get. Now that's a good reboot, dude. If you could do Lucy Daughter, the Devil, I mean, because John Benjamin could play the devil in that, and you could play it perfectly. I mean, the character. I mean, that would be a good freaking movie.
I'll tell you what I'm excited for that's coming out, and that's the new Starship Troopers movie.
Oh yeah,
the Traitor of Mars.
Yeah, Traitor of Mars. I loved the first movie. I know it has nothing to do with the book.
Yeah.
But I loved the first movie. Watched all the other ones. They were terrible, but they were fun. I'm really excited.
Marauder was entertaining. It was something.
Is that the one where they had the giant mech suits?
I think it
and
that was
came at the last minute.
Marauder, isn't that the one where they start off in the cave? Like they're
Okay.
I think I could be wrong. Write in. Tell me if I'm wrong. Andy.
Oh, the comments will be on there.
Oh yeah.
You got Star Trek.
Well, that's been done. So my
No. What do you recommend as far as reboots?
I'm sorry. It's just not something I.
Debbie does Dallas 14. It's a must see.
How about Sherlock from BBC?
Sherlock from BBC.
To be redone?
No.
I'd like him to keep going.
Yeah, no.
Really?
A good
love
modern.
that show.
You don't think that last season they kind of played it out with the whole?
I haven't finished last season.
Okay, never mind. I won't spoil it for you then. I think you know. Not there. You want to get the comments section filled? I think Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman have seen their day. It's been played out. It's done. It is done.
This will be the last time he's on this podcast.
They
We're going to
took it
lynch
too
him.
far last season, and you know,
Lynch him.
I think
So
even
you're
the
not a
creators have
Benedict
made the comment that they made a huge mistake killing off Moriarty from the get-go. But without Moriarty, I mean, and really, and where is the detection in anything that goes on in that series anymore? Is there any clues that come up that you have to follow? I mean, it's not even really a detective story anymore, that's what it should be. It's a drama.
Reimagining. What if Holmes is Moriarty?
They've done that. That's been done.
Oh no, shit! I don't
Oh yeah, that's been done. Where he's the same person with two, and it's two aspects
Man,
of the
I don't
psyche.
feel so bad about not knowing everything.
Everything Holmesian has been done. Trust me. from him being in an asylum the whole time to him being both Moriarty and Sherlock. It's Sherlock has been done to death, but I think the last two seasons really of Sherlock have just, to me, it's been boring.
So you are not a Cumberbatch.
No, I'm not I loved the first 2 years of it. It was great, and it was well done, and it was a unique perspective. But same with Doctor Who. I'm the biggest Doctor Who fan in the entire world. I've been since I was a child. But Stephen Moffat should have been done after his first season with Matt Smith. He should have dropped the mic and walked out the door after his first season with Matt Smith and his first year of Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman, because he just keeps stepping on his own dick and rewrite and rehashing crap. How many times did he reboot the entire universe in the last 6 years of Doctor Who? Like 3, just so he didn't have to. It's just lazy writing, just so he didn't have to maintain continuity. And then the guy that plays Mark Gatiss comes along and tells everybody that continuity's not important. Well, yeah, it is, guys. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going off on massive tangents.
Okay, I recommend as a reboot, remake, or reimagining, John Carpenter's thing.
I agree.
Was that good?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was
the first one was so perfect.
Yeah, I know.
No, not the 2011 one. I'm talking.
He's talking about Kurt Russell.
The Kurt Russell one.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a
remake.
remake. That's a remake.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Now the original one was good. I got it. The thing that
Sure.
came from another planet,
Mhm.
with the dude he plays Sheriff Dillon.
I know you're from Gunsmoke. Yeah.
Gunsmoke. Yeah. That's a good movie too. But the Carpenter one is amazing.
Carpenter's
that is like, if everyone's like CGI or practical effects,
You wanna talk
like
about
watch John
the
Carpenter.
most underrated actor of all time, Kurt Russell.
Oh yeah.
The most underrated. That he is just brilliant in everything. Even when he was in the Disney movies, he's just phenomenal.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I don't understand.
You're now welcome back to the podcast.
Yeah.
Did you think of that thing, the think on the series?
No, I'll think of it next week when it's no longer relevant.
You want to plug your store real quick?
Yes, absolutely. So we are recording this in Underdark Comics and Games, just on South 9th Street in Quincy, Illinois. So make sure you stop by and see us, 508 South 9th Street, just past State Street on your right-hand side. We're open 12 to 7, Tuesday through Saturday, 12 to 5 on Sunday. Give us a call, send us a Facebook message. Just let us know what you think.
And you said, I'm going to put you on the spot. Once we get this on the web, you will put this on the Facebook page?
Absolutely. More than likely, you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube. We'll have it on the Facebook page.
Anybody else?
Hi.
Okay. All right.
Word.
Yeah.